A new employee studies the first paycheck and sees a line that looks harmless, 401k. Beneath it sits a choice with a quiet financial consequence: contribute 3%, contribute 6%, or contribute nothing. The paycheck changes immediately. So does the future value of the workplace benefit. An employer match can add hundreds or thousands of dollars over time, but the money is not unlocked by good intentions. It is unlocked by rules. The match is the employer's contribution to a worker's 401k account, usually tied to the worker's own contribution. It is part of compensation, but it may not appear in the salary number that drew someone to the job. That makes it easy to miss. A worker can accept a lower retirement balance without realizing that the decision happened during payroll enrollment, one percentage point at a time. Consider the central question: what does 6% contribution actually mean? If a worker directs 6% of eligible pay into the plan, the employer may match some portion according to its formula. One plan might match a percentage of the first 6% contributed, another might match less or use a different limit. The formula in the plan documents controls. The word match alone does not reveal the amount. If the employer matches contributions up to 6% of pay, contributing nothing usually produces no employer money. Contributing 3% may capture only part of the available match. Contributing 6% may capture the full match under that example. The exact result depends on the employer's written rules, but the decision is clear. A worker often must put in personal money before the employer puts in its share. That personal contribution can be traditional or Roth. A traditional 401k contribution generally goes into the account before federal income taxes are applied, which may reduce taxable income now. Taxes are generally paid later when money is withdrawn. A Roth 401k contribution is made after taxes, so it does not reduce current taxable income, but qualified withdrawals may be tax-free under applicable rules. Neither choice makes the employer match disappear. Plans may place matching money in a traditional account even when the employee chooses Roth contributions. That detail can surprise people who believe every dollar must follow the same tax treatment. The plan's documents explain how the match is deposited and taxed. When the choice feels confusing, separate two questions: when the tax is paid and how much money enters the account. The next question is timing. A contribution election usually affects payroll, not a distant annual decision. If enrollment starts after a pay period closes, the first paycheck may not include the contribution. If someone waits until late in the year, there may be too few paychecks left to capture the full available match. A missed payroll contribution can become a missed employer contribution. This is why the enrollment screen deserves more attention than it often receives. A worker should find the match formula, identify the percentage needed to receive the full match, and check when contributions begin. The goal is not to guess, it is to compare the plan's rules with the paycheck schedule. A simple note in a budget can protect a benefit that otherwise fades into administrative language. The budget still matters. A contribution that cannot be sustained may force a worker to use credit cards or miss rent, creating a more urgent problem. The strongest plan is one that protects essential bills, handles high cost debt, and captures available matching money when possible. Even starting below 6% can create a path forward if the contribution rises later. Automatic escalation can help if the plan offers it. A worker might begin at a manageable rate and increase it after a raise. The increase is easier to absorb when take-home pay rises at the same time. This does not remove the need to check the match threshold, but it turns saving from a yearly act of willpower into a workplace process with a schedule. Then another rule appears: vesting. Vesting determines how much of the employer's contribution the worker owns after leaving the company. Employee contributions are generally the worker's own money, but employer contributions may become fully owned immediately or over time. A vesting schedule can assign ownership by years of service or use another structure described in the plan. Imagine employer money appearing in the account, followed by a departure before the required vesting date. The balance may show a contribution that is not fully yours to keep. Depending on the schedule, some or all unvested employer money can be forfeited when employment ends. The account statement may look larger than the amount a departing worker can carry forward. Vesting is not a penalty for taking a new job. It is a condition attached to employer contributions. The details can include a cliff vesting schedule where ownership arrives after a set period, or gradual vesting where ownership grows over several years. These terms are technical, but the practical question is simple. How long must employment continue before each part of the employer match belongs to you? That question can change a job decision. A worker comparing offers should examine salary, health costs, bonus rules, and the 401k match, then ask how vesting affects the benefit. A large match with a long schedule may be worth less to someone planning a quick move than a smaller, immediately vested benefit. The headline number is only the beginning. The same issue appears when a company restructures, a worker is laid off, or a career change arrives unexpectedly. A departure is not always planned around a vesting anniversary. Before leaving, the worker can review the current vested balance, the service rules, and any deadlines in the plan. No one can control every employment event, but understanding the schedule prevents a painful surprise. Changing jobs also raises the question of what happens next. A worker may leave the money in the former employer's plan if allowed, move it to a new employer's plan, or transfer it to an individual retirement account. Each choice has tax and investment consequences. The key is to avoid treating an old account as invisible. Forgotten accounts can carry fees, limited investment choices, or paperwork that becomes harder to manage. A 401k loan creates a different risk. If the plan permits borrowing, the worker receives money from the account and repays it under the plan's terms. But leaving the employer can change the repayment rules. An unpaid balance may become a distribution, potentially creating taxes and penalties. The loan may feel like access to personal savings, yet it can interrupt long-term investing and expose the worker to a job change deadline. Contribution limits add another boundary. Federal rules limit how much an employee can contribute to a 401k each year, and those limits can change. Employer matching money is handled under separate plan and legal rules, so a worker nearing a limit should check current guidance and plan documents. Contributing too aggressively late in the year can also matter if the plan stops employee contributions before a later paycheck that would have earned a match. Some plans include a year-end true-up, which can correct certain matching differences after the year closes. Others may not. A worker who contributes heavily early and reaches the annual employee limit may miss matches from later pay periods if the plan calculates the match each paycheck without a true-up. That is why the contribution limit and the payroll method belong in the same review. Investment choices begin after the money enters the account. A 401k may offer stock funds, bond funds, or ETFs, which are exchange traded funds that hold a basket of investments and trade like shares. Diversification means spreading money across different investments to reduce dependence on one holding. Neither approach guarantees safety, but concentration can make one company or market decline dominate a retirement plan. The match should not become an excuse to ignore debt. High interest debt can grow faster than a retirement account during a bad market period. A practical order may include keeping a basic cash reserve, reducing costly debt, and contributing enough to capture the available match while adapting the balance to income and risk. The right plan must survive real life, not just look perfect on paper. Inflation adds another quiet pressure. Inflation is the broad rise in prices that reduces what each dollar can buy. A retirement balance that looks large decades from now may not provide the same purchasing power as that number suggests today. Regular contributions, employer money, and a diversified approach can help address that challenge, but none should be treated as a promise. Credit scores and retirement contributions are not the same system. A 401k contribution does not directly raise a FICO score, and carrying balances to fund retirement can damage financial stability. Protecting payment history, keeping credit use controlled, and reviewing the budget can support the broader plan. Financial independence is built from connected decisions, not one account in isolation. The first workplace election may seem small because it changes one paycheck. Its consequences can be larger because every contribution has time to remain invested, and every missed match is money that never entered the account. The central lesson is not that everyone must choose one tax type or one contribution rate. It is that the rules deserve inspection before the money disappears into routine. Find the match formula. Find the percentage needed to receive it. Check whether the employer money is vested immediately or follows a vesting schedule. Confirm when payroll deductions begin, how the plan handles the contribution limits, and whether a year end true up exists. Then choose traditional or Roth contributions with taxes, income, and long term goals in mind. A clear decision can begin with 3%, move towards 6%, and rise as the budget allows. Review the account after the first paycheck, after a raise, and before changing jobs. The employer match may feel like free money, but it requires your contribution, follows the plan's rules, and may require time before it fully belongs to you. Once those rules are visible, the benefit stops being mysterious. It becomes part of your compensation, your budget, and your path toward financial independence.